We're going back to our story of focus right now. The Srinagar Jammu highway stayed closed today as part of the ban on civilian vehicles that's been actioned twice a week. Security experts have called this a dumb idea. Take a look.
On the debate tonight, the civilian vehicle ban on the Jammu Srinagar highway.
जो अवामुन नास है, जो मतलब लोकल्स है, लोकल्स को पूरी तरह उनकी कदगन लगा दी गई है उनके ऊपर और पूरी तरह उनको मतलब आने जाने में बिल्कुल दिक्कत है।
अलस्टाफ से जो जिसू तक जाना था, रास्ते में इतनी मुश्किलात है कि मुझे जाने नहीं देते हैं। जगह जगह पर सिक्योरिटी है, सिक्योरिटी की इतनी पाबंदी है कि किसी मेरी बात तो छोड़, मेरे साथ कोई बहन है, कोई माँ है, उनकी बहुत सी मुश्किलात होती हैं।
An order from the Jammu and Kashmir State Administration has crippled the lifeline of the valley. For additional troops and security for the Lok Sabha elections and post the Phulwama attack, the Jammu Srinagar National Highway has been blocked for citizens twice a week to facilitate troop movements.
The government had said that they have a process in place and they had put out certain numbers of on-duty magistrates. But again, the question is that when you have a medical emergency, do you have the time to really go through this process, contact a duty magistrate, get a pass and then go to the hospital?
Sources say the ban on civilian vehicles on the highway was implemented without consultation of the Indian Army. Sources also say the army has said that blocking civilian movements on the highway will have little or no impact facilitating the army movements. Political parties in the valley are protesting the move. They say the ban of private vehicles on highways is an unnecessary move.
मैंने तो इस बैन को डिफाई करके मैं तो इसी रास्ते से यहाँ आ गई। मैंने तो इस बैन को डिफाई किया। हम तो अदालत में भी चले गए इसके खिलाफ। और अब क्या कर सकते हैं, जब तक लोग खुद गाड़ियां लेके सड़कों पे नहीं आएंगे तब तक इस मसले का हल नहीं होगा।
हमने आज एक छोटा सा एहतजाज रखा गवर्नमेंट को ये कहने के लिए कि मेहरबानी करके अपना ये ऑर्डर जो है इसको वापस ले लीजिए और लोगों को हाईवे पे चलने की खुली इजाजत दे दीजिए।
Mirror now asks, was the J&K highway ban necessary? Let's debate.
Well, so here's the evidence. Our sources from the army have said that they've continued, and there's evidence that the army moved a convoy on Monday when the ban was not in force. Sources from the army and security services have told our journalists in Kashmir that the ban makes little or no difference to the army, and that it doesn't make any sort of change really to the security of the forces in the valley. Then why do it? Let me quickly cut across to my colleague Fareed, who's standing by live in Srinagar. Fareed, obviously there is inconvenience, but we also understand that going into the election, there's a great deal of resentment and rage and despair that this highway closure has caused.
That's right, Faye. In fact, from day one, this order has been met with a lot of unease and anger as far as local is concerned, and not needlessly, because their movement has been hampered. Their civil liberties, they see this is an attempt to curb their civil liberties. People first concept that really has been guaranteed to them by the Constitution of India. And you cannot just block the national highway and then, when you know fully well that this is the only arterial road surface link that connects the valley with the rest of the country. Had there been multiple roads, you could have designated one for the army or for the security forces convoy movement and the other one for the civilians. But in this case, what you're doing is you're literally pitting the security forces against the civilians, because I myself saw at various junctions where civilian movement was stopped. Frustrated civilians, people, commuters who had emergencies were literally quarreling, arguing with the security force personnel, and they were absolutely helpless. They said that this is a government order. The civilians were adamant that they need to go. It's an emergency. So this is the kind of situation this order has led to on the ground. And imagine the gulf between the civilian and the security forces is increasing rather than really having doing efforts that would decrease it. So that's why you, as you rightly said, sources in the army say that they are not with this order. This is not something that they have advocated, because after Phulwama attack, already there is a set mechanism as far as convoy movement is concerned. Especially the army has their own protocol mechanism where if you talk of other days of the week, civilian movement is stopped whenever it's brought to a grinding halt whenever there is a convoy, and once the convoy passes safely, then only civilians are allowed. So they are still following that mechanism.
Fareed, we
CRPF, I spoke
understand
to
as well.
some officers, they say that they also follow the same mechanism. So for whom was this order meant for?
Yes, we also understand that today there was a practice of stamping the palm of individuals and signing it as a permission for them to use the highway. Which government officer was actually doing this? And we understand that a lot of citizens felt that this was dehumanizing the citizens who needed to use the highway.
Absolutely, Faye. This has also led to a loss of dignity as far as the common man is concerned. Now, already he goes through a lot normally as he spends his life in the Kashmir Valley, literally a sandwich between the devil and the blue sea. And now you have this order which has further magnified his issues, his problems. Now, you're absolutely right. There came this bizarre photograph of a palm being stamped, sealed by a duty magistrate just to ensure that the person is allowed further. Now, imagine if he somehow manages to wash his hands, then he'll be stuck somewhere in between and then he has nowhere to go. So this is the kind of situation that is brought on the ground. As far as your question, who this person was, he's said to be a duty magistrate from Bij Behara. The deputy commissioner, it seems now that the governor understands the kind of condemnation this thing has led to on social media and otherwise. They have reacted to it. Deputy commissioner has already ordered an inquiry and is trying to identify the officer who was this duty magistrate who stamped the palm of this particular person. So in multiple ways, this really is a loss of dignity. You have to understand for the common man, for an ordinary person who's on the streets, who's nothing to do with anyone else. He wants a dignified life. So in multiple ways, this order is a complete shocker, as you rightly said, an ex-army chief saying that it's a dumb order, and that's probably the best remark of the day as far as this order is concerned.
All right, Fareed, many thanks for joining us with that update. Let me cut across straight to our panel that's joined us right now. We have, and I'm very grateful for his time, General VP Malik, the former chief of the Indian Army staff and the chairperson of the staffing committee during the Kargil war, who joins us right now live. Waheed-ur-Rahman is the spokesperson of the PDP. Sunil Sethi is a spokesperson of the BJP. Gaur Giuliani is a senior journalist, and Maruf Raza, strategic affairs expert and consulting editor with the Times Network. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. General Malik, you tweeted today saying you believe this entire decision is dumb. Could you tell our audience why you believe that this was dumb? Were there other options that the security forces or the government could have used instead of closing the highway?
Faye, firstly, let me say that my views, my opinion, they are totally professional, purely professional. There is no political angle to it. As everybody knows, I'm an apolitical person.
Yes.
And I also must add that I do not appreciate the kind of comments that have come from Mehbooba Mufti or even Omar Abdullah regarding defiance of orders or instigating people to defy these orders and all.
Yes.
I think that's a wrong thing to have been done. So I have absolutely no truck with people who ask others to defy or instigate the other people against India. Let me be clear. Kashmir is part of India. It has been, it is, and it will remain part of India. Yes. So all the Kashmiris are Indians. Let us not get away. Let us not start thinking that every Kashmiri is a terrorist. There are a few terrorists, but rest of them are, they really are either sitting on the fence or they are even pro-India. So for us to start imagining that every Kashmiri is a terrorist, I think it is a wrong move. The other thing that I want to mention here is that we have been moving convoys not only in Kashmir but even in other parts of it. Yes, having this kind of restriction is no guarantee that there will be no further attacks on the convoys. There can be, and for that we have to think of other measures. But this one is alienating the people, which I think is not desirable at all. Just for a few terrorists, we cannot afford to alienate the whole population of Kashmir. And the army has been following certain norms, which probably even today they are continuing to follow in Kashmir. And we need to strengthen our information, the intelligence agencies. We need to strengthen our police forces rather than place this kind of restriction which alienates people, which brings about so much of difficulty to people who are to go to hospital or the children who have to go to school. So therefore, I personally am against this kind of a restriction which has been placed. The other aspect is the geography. Not many people know. This is the lifeline to going to Srinagar. Now, if on 2 days in a week you stop all vehicular movement, you can imagine the difficulty that people will face not only while going to Srinagar or going across the Banihal, but within Srinagar also, or within the area like Bij Bihara or going to Srinagar. So I think we should have thought a little more. We should have before passing such an order, and therefore I am against it.
General Malik, there's a response today from the Ministry of Home Affairs. The MHA has defended this particular decision and said that, there's deliberate and mischievous disinformation going on to lead people to think that the restrictions are inconveniencing people. It says only 12 hours, 2 days a week is a short restriction period and shouldn't really inconvenience people that much. You obviously disagree, because we've heard reports from our reporter who's told us people can't access hospitals, they can't access schools, they haven't been able to, people who go to Srinagar on work, like taxi drivers, can't leave the same day. And also, and perhaps worst of all, is that when the ban opens tomorrow morning, there will be horrible traffic, as we have seen the next day, because it's 2 days worth of traffic now on the highway. Do you disagree with the ministry's defense that it's only 12 hours, 2 days a week, so it's not such a big deal?
Faye, it is not Ministry of Defense. I think you are quoting Ministry of Home Affairs.
Yes, I am.
They have their opinion. I have mine.
Yes.
As I said, mine is a purely professional opinion, and I continue to maintain that. Now, if they are calling me a mischief monger, I can only laugh at them, and I have really nothing to say. But as I said, this is my opinion. There was no need to pass such an order. We could have found other ways of ensuring stricter security on these convoys when they are going, instead of just banning every movement and thus creating more problem for the local population. And let's not, as I said, keep repeating that this business of every terrorist, every Kashmiri is a terrorist, is totally wrong. And to some extent, I also blame the TV channels for it, because many of our TV channels start showing it like that. They bring in people on the panel who are all the time talking against the country, which is why some wrong impressions are being created in much of our population across India. But I maintain my opinion, and I don't really care for what MHA feels.
General Malik, I must also ask you this. You were in charge of security, especially in that area, at very crucial points in our country's history. If you were advising the security agencies right now, what would your advice be as an alternative to this highway closure?
I have commanded troops in Mizoram, in Nagaland, Manipur, in Punjab during insurgency days, and I have also commanded a division in Kashmir. I was located in Kashmir Valley with a whole division. So I have handled these situations. I have never seen such orders being passed. Now, I don't know whether this particular order was discussed in the unified command. There is a unified command supposed to be functioning in Srinagar, and I am not sure about it, whether they were, but whoever gave this advice, I think, was wrong. Well, he or she may have their own opinion, but this is my opinion and so much of experience behind it.
Absolutely, General Malik, we appreciate your opinion, and if you would be kind enough to stay on with us while I bring in the rest of my panel as well. Maruf Raza joins us right now. Mr. Raza, good evening and thank you for joining us. You've just heard General Malik's opinion. Do you agree with him that this was unnecessary and there could have been other options explored by the governor in Jammu and Kashmir instead of passing this rule?
See, Faye, I agree entirely with General Malik. I hold him in very high regard. I've known him personally for more than almost 2 decades, and he is a very practical man. I just want to expand further on 1 or 2 points that he made. The whole purpose of counterinsurgency operations of military and paramilitary forces with a political leadership in place or not in place is to basically win the hearts and minds of the population and not to alienate them. For the life of me, I can't make out how a move like this can win hearts and minds, but instead alienate the population completely. I mean, there are emergencies, there are personal requirements, there are various things. Now, the second point is that from what I've understood with what the reports are available, this seems to be a decision which has been taken as a knee-jerk decision by the Home Ministry in Delhi in association with the Home Secretary in the state, and others haven't been co-opted in it. I mean, from the very beginning of the time when I've been looking at Kashmir from the mid-90s onwards, there is meant to be a unified command in place, but it very rarely works in unity. And very rarely are the inputs tapped of everybody else, whether if there is an elected chief minister, he's meant to be on top of it, or if there is governor's rule, then the governor and his administration is meant to be on top of it. But quite clearly, everyone's inputs have to be sought. It cannot be a decision which can be imposed by North Bloc onto the Home Secretary there and he passes a fatwa. The third thing is that the people of J&K are already facing enough crises in their life for we to add on another burden to them. It's like saying that a hijack took place, so don't travel by airlines at all because ban air travel completely, so you're not going to have hijacks. Just imagine if you stop having flights from Delhi to Mumbai or Delhi to Calcutta twice a week or Delhi to Bangalore twice a week. See the amount of confusion it will cause amongst the business community and travelers who are now traveling more frequently by air than ever before. I mean, put the same situation on top of the Kashmiris. The third thing is that it is well established now that the Phulwama disaster took place because there was a leadership vacuum in the CRPF. There was no officer worth the name who was traveling with the convoy. The army, for the life of me, I can guarantee you, will never let a convoy go past of that scale without suitable officers in command. Thirdly, there was no check established on the side roads that were linking up to the highway where this vehicle laden with explosives came and hit into a convoy. You want to do it? Do the kind of security measures that are in Delhi, for instance, when the Prime Minister moves. The moment his convoy moves away, the road opens up. Why do you have to block it for the rest of the day? You can have a certain amount of checks in place, and the highway from Jammu going right up to Baramulla via Srinagar, via Udhampur is a long highway. Imagine if the convoy is going to reach there at 5 in the evening. The poor chap in Baramulla or Srinagar is not allowed to move on the road for 12 hours of the day when the convoy arrives on the 12th hour. I mean, it's ridiculous. The people are in charge of situations where they have no idea of what to do on the ground. And let me tell you, this is a point I've been reasserting again and again, that elections per se, and if this order is going to be in place till 31st May, is not an achievement for India if you've lost the heart and minds of the people.
Yes.
We have repeatedly done elections, and what do you get in return? You only get a certain amount of anger because you mess up on a whole lot of other things which are essential to the people of Kashmir. And I agree entirely with the General. For Mr. Abdullah or Ms. Mehbooba Mufti to defy the thing, you know, if the forces on the ground had shoot at sight orders, would they be willing to stand up to the fact that somebody would fire at them? Then it would be said that a massacre has taken place.
That was irresponsible as well.
Understand that there is never going to be. Yeah, so the fact of the matter is that you want to address the situation, even if you don't have politicians in power, you engage with them and ask them what is it that they feel is reflective of the public mood if something like this is to take place.
Okay.
I mean, I find the whole handling of Jammu and
Yes,
Kashmir
Mr. Raza.
of this government has been bereft of strategy, of thought, of any concern. And basically, we are just going from crisis to crisis. And this is the BJP's biggest failure in national governance.
Oh, okay. I saw General Malik's hand go up. General Malik, is this, and I know you'll be, you won't want to comment on the politics of it, but is this being done for political gain?
No, firstly, after that good elaboration by Maruf Raza, all I want to say is that let us not lose the focus on our political aim in Jammu and Kashmir and get involved these stupid tactical aspects which do not contribute to that particular aim.
Yes.
Our aim is to integrate the Kashmiri population with the rest of the country, and by doing this kind of, by taking this kind of actions, we will only be alienating them and not achieving the political aim. As far as the politics is concerned, you know, I better stay away from all that because even on my Twitter, I get all kinds of trolls coming in today. So I've given my opinion, and as I said, it's a totally purely professional opinion.
let me on behalf of the viewers at least and the citizens of this country, General Malik, first of all, thank you for your immense service to this country, and secondly, apologize for the kind of completely unwarranted nonsense that you have to read on Twitter. Twitter is unfortunately right now a toxic wasteland of people who think they can say anything to anybody without even understanding the history of that individual. And I apologize on behalf of my fellow citizens that you even have to read this nonsense. It's completely unacceptable.
No.
But let me bring in the two politicians.
You don't have to.
Let me bring in the two politicians who are on the panel. Sunil Sethi, spokesperson of the BJP, joins us out of Jammu. Mr. Sethi, I want you to respond to two things. General Malik disagreeing with the Home Ministry and saying that this decision was plain dumb and counterproductive to India's goals in Kashmir. Also, Maruf Raza saying that this government's move after move has worked only to isolate Kashmir and make matters worse. Why has the government made a decision like this?
Your experts are looking to the decision only from the political angle. As I see, there are three reasons. One is that when army convoy is moving, then if you allow the civil traffic also to move along with it, and if, God forbid, something like Phulwama happens, because you please remember that after Phulwama there was Banihal also, an attempt to repeat Phulwama. If something happens, it is not only targeting the security forces, but there will be loss of the civilians also. And secondly, please keep in mind that this is an election time where the militants will be having very high efforts to disrupt the election process, and during this time they will definitely try to cause the damage. Now, what we are trying to save is not only the lives of the security people, but we are also trying to save the lives of the civilians who will be moving on the national highway. And please appreciate that the government has kept the strategy in the place that in case of emergency, in case somebody is having any sort of emergent movement need, then there are the executive magistrates who are in place who will be allowing the permissions. Number two, the national highway, Jammu Kashmir National Highway, where the restrictions have been placed. Kashmir province, where the areas are affected, are 60 or 70 kilometers. About 190, 180 kilometers of the area falls in Jammu province. There is no voice from Jammu province. The people are suffering. The traders of the Jammu are also suffering because of the restrictions on 2 days. But the people understand this is inconvenience, but this is necessary inconvenience.
So what do you mean?
You don't allow the lives of the people to suffer because of the inconvenience.
No. Mr.
Please
Sunil
understand,
Sethi,
there are restrictions
Mr.
on 2
Sunil
days,
Sethi,
Sunday being holiday.
As close
Now,
as
there
we
will
may be
Sunday
to the elections,
Sunday
I
being
do
holiday,
not
there will
allow
be not
that
much
sort of
impact on
talk
Sunday.
on my channel. One second, Mr. Sunil Sethi, your first point, if I
No,
may,
during election time, if something happens during election
I'll tell
time,
you.
who will be responsible?
the army
Who will be responsible if something like
because it is-
Phulwama
it-
or
it-
Banihal happens
okay,
during
one
these
second,
times?
One second. Hang on. First of all.
No, who will be?
I will answer your
will
question.
Will the politician be responsible who are asking the people to come on the road?
Stop heckling me. I will answer your question. Your first point was, if and
See,
on...
making comments sitting in Delhi is different. Analyzing the situation sitting in Jammu and Kashmir is different.
All right, are you quite done? First of all, I'm not in Delhi.
And if there is some inconvenience which can be taken, if there is inconvenience which can be taken care of, if there is inconvenience
Mr.
to the
Sethi,
public,
you'd
which
have
can be
to
taken
listen
care
to
of,
the question
somebody
in order
can
to be able to
always
answer
address
it.
the administration. They can take care of that.
All right. You said your first point was
Yes.
that if there is an army convoy moving and something
Please ask.
happens, then what will you do? Let me point out to you, an army convoy moved on Monday because the army said it doesn't need the civilian government to make these sort of restrictions. The army can look after itself. There have been security convoys who have been moving irrespective of your restriction because the security forces are of the opinion that it doesn't need the civilian government to close a highway to create safety for the security forces. The security forces are there to create safety for the civilians and not the other way around. The government doesn't actually create security
Banihal would not
pockets
have happened.
for the army.
Then-
The army looks after itself. And second point is, you're talking about military disruption again in that area. You must rely on the opinion of the security experts. Now, to your third point, that my panelists are speaking politically and they don't know the situation on the ground between Jammu and Kashmir. Let me point out to you, General VP Malik was the former Chief of Staff of the Indian Army, and his service, let me point out to you, is perhaps much longer than your political career and before you even started it. So I take great offense to that comment that you have made. And your third comment, that nobody in Jammu is complaining but only Kashmir is complaining, is because Kashmir is getting cut off. And that is the only route for every possible feed of food and clothing and petrol supplies that they get is from that one highway. One second, I'm going to give this back to General Malik and he will respond. General Malik Sunil Sethi actually said that this is being done to keep the army safe. Do you want to respond to him?
Not only army, the civilians also.
Look, every military leader knows and he wants to ensure security of his people. But because there are a few terrorists, we don't stop the life in that whole area. We go for them, we gun for them, but we use, as I said, we use guns against the violent perpetrators, but we also have a velvet glove. We are humane. We have to be compassionate with rest of the people. So let us not consider that everyone is a terrorist. And we have our drills, which have been following for ages now, how to protect ourselves and protect our convoys. After all, the convoys in Kashmir have been moving for such a long time. And again, I am saying that all these restrictions does not mean there is no guarantee that there will be no other attack at all. I mean, we are talking of elections. Well, elections are coming, and yet you have seen what is happening in the Maoist area of Dantewada and other places. So we have to be prepared for all these things. We cannot just stop life for the rest of the population because the elections are on way, or because the elections are going to happen. I mean, let's be practical about the whole thing. So I don't want to say anything more about what Mr. Sethi has been saying.
I have to quickly bring in Waheed Rahman, who's the spokesperson of the PDP. Mr. Rahman, quick question to you. When the head of the PDP encourages people to defy the ban and take their vehicles onto the road, saying that I just defied the ban myself, what sort of responsibility is that for a public leader? Shouldn't she be having a conversation with the government of the day instead of advising people to break the law?
Well, before that, I would like to, first of all, endorse the statement by Maruf Raza and also General Malik, where they said that this order is not aimed to win the people of Jammu and Kashmir, which is the basic role of the country in Kashmir. But this order is not only insulting, it's a humiliation to every Kashmiri, because it doesn't talk about militancy, separatists or anybody. It talks about the people in general. It is generalizing Kashmiri and seeing Kashmiri as a threat to the movement of security. The security in Kashmir is to protect me, protect people like us, protect Kashmiris. But today, what is the war? The debate and narrative is that it's Kashmir versus country, it's security versus Kashmiri, and every Kashmiri is a suspect in this country. That's a larger message. Only this lifeline road, NH1, is the only highway which connects Kashmir with the mainland. A road which is meant to connect Kashmir, integrate Kashmir, is being used as a tool to disconnect Kashmir, insult Kashmir, and alienate every Kashmiri. The larger message is wherever this highway today is, you are cut off. You cannot come on this road. So I don't think whosoever has taken this decision, if security is not on board, who is on board? This is exactly what has happened in Kashmir. We have defeated the idea of democracy. We are alienating people of Kashmir, and everything is being done for optics. Everything is being done to sell in the national elections. Look, we are hard, we are bravado, we are brave, because we are punishing Kashmiris. And what is the larger message? We are talking about security of security today. Does army need security? They are here to protect Kashmiris. They are here to protect the nation. Who will protect them? Where is the threat? The threat is not coming from the locals. You are
Mr.
not.
Gilani,
this order doesn't
what about
the
one
threat
second? You
to
haven't
come on
answered the
highway.
question I asked you.
It creates more. It creates more problem. I have a point. The technical point I want. Let me respond. I've been listening to your debate a lot. Let me respond first. Making convoys specific. You're making convoys more vulnerable, because everybody knows now. If somebody wants to attack, he knows when to attack, where to attack, because the mixed route, mixed transport brings more safety. We have been living for
just
7
answer the
decades
question,
in this
Mr.
Rahman. Never ever this order came. Never ever. It's a totally surprise. And the whole message is, it's an order against Kashmiris. It's an order that insults us. It's an order that makes us suspect and also generalizes that everybody is a threat. Everybody is a problem.
Mr. Rahman, are you willing to answer the question I asked you? Why did Mehbooba Mufti make such an irresponsible statement today?
Yes. It is not irresponsible, because you're restricting our right to movement. Which right? Under what constitution? We have a constitutional right to walk on the highway, to run our vehicles on highway. Somebody is issued an illegal order. We need to defy that illegal order, because it's the anti-constitutional order. It's illegal order. This order is totally illegal.
So,
and we have every right to defy it in
Mr.
a democracy.
Rahman, the way to defend yourself against an illegal order is in the courts.
Are you not going to ask questions?
And not on the streets, especially in a situation that is already tense.
Highways Act. And that is the question you should be talking about. You should not be talking about me, that why you have asked people to defy orders. We have to defy orders because in violation against the National Highways Act. It's in violation against the right to movement of every Kashmiri and every citizen of this country, and that should be the debate on your TV channel.
Well, the debate on my television channel will be whatever I choose it to be, because I'm the editor of the channel and I will make that decision. And while we have questioned the BJP on why they have been so irresponsible with this decision, we have to also question the PDP on why they were so irresponsible to rabble-rouse at a time when Kashmir is already sensitive. Gohar Gilani is a senior journalist who joins us as well. Gohar, has every political party in Kashmir right now made a meal of it? Because everybody is looking for an opportunity for political points one way or the other.
First of all, I find it very strange, Faye, from the Kashmir, it's a problem in Kashmir. Kashmiris have been suffering and Kashmiris are on the roads. And it's an order to insult them and to humiliate them. And of all the people, we heard all expert opinions from General Malik and, Mr. Raza and BJP spokesperson. And Kashmiris are the last one whose opinion is heard. It's also very insulting in debates. But coming straight away to your question, of course, politicians will make, it's their job to make, to do politics. There have been PIL filed by 3 political parties, the PDP, National Conference, and as well as the newly floated party by Shah Faisal, Jammu Kashmir People's Movement. But I'm coming back to, the main topic. That is, how can you ban civilian movement vehicular traffic for 2 days, Wednesday and Sunday every week? It is being compared to the German occupation of Poland in 1931. If you read the Outlook, there's a long story on Outlook where this has been compared to the Polish occupation of German occupation of Poland, and also how what happened in the Auschwitz, where these stamps were being palms were being stamped to allow people to move. And this is, this is the similar treatment that was done to the Jews in Nazi Germany. And we are living in the 21st century. In 21st century, you are just not allowing Kashmiris to move on the only highway, which is the lifeline for Kashmiris. And you are denying, can you imagine that expecting women, somebody is expecting in South Kashmir, and that woman has or skims. Somebody in North Kashmir is on a ventilator, and he needs, there are people who are on the life support system and who need to go to the hospital. There are people, there are students, there are employees, there are 4.5 lakh employees who have to commute on a daily basis on this road. What this order is all about? There was an attack in Dantewada. Did you issue bans on the highway in Chhattisgarh? There was attack in Mumbai. Did you ban movement on highways in Mumbai? There have been attacks in Delhi. Did you ban movement or vehicular traffic on the highways in Delhi? I mean, this is bizarre. The explanations given is that, the attack has happened in Phulwama, so you are not allowed to, walk on the highway, or, the traffic is not allowed. So I want to give you 3 examples. One is the recent Kashmiri family came back from Delhi and they reached the airport on Sunday. They didn't know anything. They had not heard news. And they had 2 kids. One of them was infant. And for the whole day, since morning at 10:30, they arrived at the airport. They were, they were stopped until 5 p.m. They were not allowed to go to South Kashmir. This is the impact of the ban. There was somebody's marriage in Banihal, and that person had to get a permission from the magistrate and the DC office for 12 guests because his marriage was in Doda. So this is the inconvenience. And then, you see what chaos is on the roads. So, and why these, politicians, unionists have now come up with a resistance narrative, because everybody sees this opportunity to, to grizz their own, mill. So be that as it may, the problem is that, as Wahid said, I agree with him, the problem is why there is a ban. And it's a right of a Kashmiri, a right of any human being. We are global citizens in this 21st century to walk on our roads, to drive on our roads, even if there is no emergency. Even, for example, I want to go and enjoy the fields around me. I want to just go and drive on the highway in the evening, in the morning. Why should anybody stop me? And this is bizarre. And the kind of defense that is coming up is absolutely bizarre.
Maruf Raza, quick question to you. There are 2 points here. Wahid has also brought this up, and Gawar Gilyani has brought it up. It's your democratic right to use the highway. It's also your democratic right to protest. Why would you then say that one shouldn't defy this ban?
Well, Faye, the first point I want to make is that while I am against this ban, I'm also against people in the media trying to project the Indian presence of troops in Kashmir in excess of what perhaps is required there as equivalent to the German occupation of Poland or any other part of Eastern Europe during World War. Because I think we have, over the years, certainly come up with far, far better approach to dealing with the situation, keeping both the guns and the roses factor in mind. You cannot completely abandon your security role, but you do not need to go over the top. And as General Malik has brought out, commanders on the ground, at least in the military, are very experienced. They are following standard operating procedures, and it is not anywhere close to what Hitler and his cronies did in World War II. The second thing is that, can you defy the ban? I think they are stretching a point, because while you can, the same Mehbooba Muftis, the same Abdullahs can go across to the governor, and I'm sure the governor and his team would listen to them a lot more than they would listen to one of the guests on our panel who are extremely articulate and concerned about it, but they may not have access to the highest corridors of power. Their views can be expressed that this is not logical, and that is a better way to go about it than confront the authorities, because somebody who has orders that if the ban is broken, shoot at them, knocks out a political team of people trying to defy the ban. you see it would perhaps go into exactly the situation they're trying to avert, that it will explode out of hand. And that is what Pakistan wants. By allowing the situation to escalate, you are playing into Pakistan's game plan, who A, want the people alienated, B, want an explosive situation, C, then go to the world and say that this is what India is doing. So we have to follow a certain degree of, reserve and a certain degree of poise when we deal with a situation. And the same Mehbooba Mufti must answer the question that today she finds the BJP government's policies all wrong. Why was it so convenient for her to engage with them as political partners for a 4-year period? It just shows the opportunism that is there. Maybe they could have had another round of elections there had a truly Kashmir-centric government if that is what she and the others felt strongly about.
Mr. Raza, I just want to give
views about it. People are not going to like it. But let me tell you, the politicians are the cause of the mess in Kashmir.
I want to give the last minute that I have to General Malik. General Malik, you've heard the arguments. I think that you're quite right. We'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who thinks this highway ban is a good idea other than the Ministry of Home Affairs. What is your final statement right now? Having heard what Mr. Sunil Sethi said, having heard what Mr. Rahman said, what is your final statement to the people of Kashmir and to the armed forces that are functioning there at this time?
First thing, I must condemn the comparison that has been made by Gauhar, the security forces with what happened in Germany or what happened in Poland and all. I don't think he knows the history as much as I know of that period. And I think it is totally condemnable, the kind of comparison that he has made.
I referred to an Outlook story. I referred to a story in the Outlook.
Please let me complete.
Because I wanted to make it. This was a story in the Outlook.
I have served in Kashmir.
Yes, General Malik, please go ahead.
I have served in Kashmir. I have commanded troops in Kashmir from 90 to 92. I'm talking of a divisional commander, and I was located in Avantipur. So I have seen the situation, and as vice chief, as chief, and even now after retirement, I have been going to Kashmir quite often. So don't think that I am only a Delhiite and I don't know anything about Kashmir. I have been following it. And I totally agree with Maruf that people like Mehbooba Mufti or Umar Abdullah, they should be talking to governor. I don't know whether they have approached this kind of instigating people and rebel-rousing people. You are only creating more problems for them, for the people. As you know, our soldiers have that empowerment that when they see this kind of a procession and if some damage is taking place or when local people's lives are endangered, then they can shoot. And I hope that that kind of situation doesn't arise. But by now, I would think that both Omar Abdullah as well as Mehbooba Mufti would be careful in this kind of action that they are taking, instead of defying or instigating other people to start defying the orders. But as I said, that I am against these orders, and I hope these orders will be revoked or they will be modified so that people are not going through such difficulties as has been mentioned by Gauhar himself.
All right, we've run out of time on this conversation. I want to thank the gentlemen who've taken time off to be part of this conversation, especially General Malik. I appreciate your time and your experience and the opinion you have shared with us. It boils down to this, in conclusion, that there is a highway ban that's been actioned by the Ministry of Home Affairs, which no one seems to agree with, including the former Chief of Staff of the Army, who believes that this was a dumb idea. It will alienate the people of Kashmir even further. It inconveniences the people of Kashmir. Women, children who need to access hospitals and schools, people conducting everyday business, taxi drivers, truck drivers who are being inconvenienced. And most of all, it's important to note at this point that the armed forces have turned around and said that they don't need this civilian ban in order to go about their business. They can move the convoys without the civilian ban. So why is the government doing this at all? It doesn't make any sense. And no one seems to agree with the justification put out by the Home Ministry today. The stories are real. Your highway ban is completely unthought of. It is a terrible, terrible idea, and the quicker you roll it back, the better it will be. You are infringing on the democratic rights of the people of Kashmir and the people of Jammu. They deserve better. Thanks for watching.